whakarongo ki te tangi a te korimako. Kōrero flowing out the hooker force. Kaupapa relevant, kaupapa out of bounds, kaupapa exigent, kaupapa paramount. Nā kona whakapiri mai ki te kaupapa tino whakahira hira whakarongo pi kari kari mai. Hare hare mai, o Taringa hare hare mai. We gotta gather up close everybody, gather up close everybody. Kani move that body, kani move that body.
E nai Taringa o te motu whānui o te hiku o te ika tainoa ki ona paihau ki tōna upoko whakawhiti i te moana raukawa ki te wai pounamu. O tira ki te ao whānui, tēnā koutou katoa nau mai hoki mai. Welcome back to this instalment of Taringa, brought to you by Te Wānanga o Aotearoa. And we're coming to you from the bustling metropolis of Te Awamutu. Anei anoa hau a praone Gloin e mihi atu nei kia koutou, ko hoki mai. And it is my pleasure. I've got a new co-host today. Nā manakitanga ki runga kia puaheiri. He mate i roto i tana whānau. Nō reira, ngā manakitanga ki runga ki aia. E tangi nei ki te rā mate o tātou, ko te kōrero, ko rātou ki a rātou, ko tātou ki a tātou. Nō reira, koe nei taku co-host, dazzling co-host,
Wow.
joining. It's got a bit of a profile, but I'll hand it over to Te Tamahine a Te Whānau Apanui, and she can introduce herself.
All right, tēnā koutou e te iwi, ko Erica Sinclair tēnei, he kaimahi o Te Wānanga o Aotearoa, and also for myself.
Put a plug in there too.
I'm a photographer. I don't know, some of you may or may not know of me. I like taking photos of everything te ao Māori and like getting amongst and involved in whatever I can. And here I am today.
Tēnā rau atu koe e te tuahine, and I know this is a huge change for you actually, because you are behind the camera most of the time,
Yep.
if not all the time. And I think it's fair to say you are one of the foremost photographers i roto i te ao Māori. So it is my honour to have you here.
Oh, my honour to be here. Nō ku te honore.
Tēnā koe. And even more e te iwi, e huri ana aku mihi i nāianei ki tēnei tuahangata. Ko whakai mai ki te awhina i tēnei kaupapa a tātou. Someone who inspired not only myself but many Te Reo speakers of our generation. It's my pleasure to introduce Quinton Hita. E te rangatira, e te hoa, ngā mihi kia koe. Nau mai.
Tēnā hoki koe, kaurua tahi. E hanga pana na taku manua, kei roto hau i o kaurua ringa i tēnei haua. Ko te tūmamako e hala i te ringa tāpā.
Kare kau noi ho.
Mene tāpā, ko pātete na te ahi tāpā kia atia. Thank you for inviting me on today. How exciting.
It's exciting for me because I mean that when I say that you have been an inspiration to many of us. You've done lots of things. One day I want to say, I'm sure, did you coin the phrase, it's cool te kōrero? Because it's still your voice. It's still your voice on My FM. And
cool
you were the
te
face
kōrero.
of that saying. It's cool te kōrero.
You know, history does catch up with you, eventually. But the issue I have with that is at the time when I wrote those phrases, we were, Ko Te Kōrero, I didn't coin that, by the way. I think I might have done the second series of recordings under that slogan. But at the time, because we were broadcasting to wider Auckland, the brief was we wanted Te Reo Māori, Te Reo Whānui, nā, mohana kaura no ngā tau I muri mai, ka hoke mano hau ki runga I tōku ngāpuhitanga. You know, even recently, people will still say to me, I'm sure that word's not from home. I'm like, yep, I know.
Yeah.
But I was paid well to tainga kupa e tahi te
Too much.
At least you're
And
honest.
you know, that's an ongoing thing in my line of work. So we produced a drama last year called Ahi Kāroa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the brief was, you know, there's lots of stuff to talk about there. You never get the opportunity in the Māori broadcasting sector and the Māori television sector to make drama. It's cost prohibitive. And we got the opportunity, and the brief was to make a show that was going to appeal to a youth audience, but that also had some tikanga to all those things, you know, you have to solve all the world's problems. And that came up again. I'm sure you guys come across it, you parane in your mahi. In some of our mahi, we're having to create a language that caters for a pan-tribal audience.
Tēnā koe. I'd like to say to meet you when I was asked if I could do the Tani Wharau series here in Tainui, and that was off the back of Ko Whaorau, who Q was and is the face of. Anyway, when sort of got everything moving, and if you've watched that series, and I think it's still on Māori TV, you can Google it anyway and watch those. They're still cool. Anyway, so I was like, i whakai atu au. And then they says, because if you watch the series, Q usually rides in on a horse. And and they go to me, do you know how to ride a horse? And I go, yeah, it's been a while. And I says, why? And they're like, well, we're thinking, there's a continuation of, and I said, if my relations watch that show and see me riding on the horse, they're going to crack up laughing. They're going to go, that's not Brownie. What's he trying to do riding on a horse, fella?
Kind of spoils the illusion of authenticity we were trying to create. But there's an element of illusion, even with my home life captured in that series.
Yeah.
I tell people it's a little bit romanticised. But, it was about authenticity, that series. If I look back on some of the highlights of my career, I produced film, feature film Mount Zion. More recently, Maui's Hook, which is playing in cinemas around the country at the moment.
Yes.
But out of all the mahi I've done over the years, for me, Ko Whaorau feels like the pinnacle of my life's work so far. Yeah, it's a pretty special project. And you're right, it's still on TV. Ka hore ko te mutia, ko mata ke tau. Ko ranui mutu no.
Ai, kuia tika. E haere nei i wainga nui te iwi nei kei te pātai tonu hi au ētahi. Ai koe haere mai ki o mātou koroheke, ruruhi kuia, mea tia, e tamako pakaru te pūkoro, kare au e rā mea rā. Kare au i whai wāhi atu ki te mihi ki a koe, mō tērā huara. Nō reira, ka mihi rā ki a koe, and I'll say that is one of the pinnacles of my life too. And of course, some of those kaumātua, both i runga i Ko Whaorau and Tani Wharau have gone on.
Yeah.
Ka mihi kia koe hoa, i e rā mahi katoa, me o mahi katoa i roto i nā mahi pāpā o mahi kiriata.
And they're all language related. Well, I had a little bit of a to and fro with Māori television of that series because at the time, there's this pressure to squeeze everything into a half-hour package.
Yeah.
And my argument to them was, one of the things about Te Reo Māori is that's a very contrived language, where you edit out all the ums and ahs and all the digressions and the silences. Actually, silence is a big part of language as well, eh?
Kia ora.
Yeah.
So I really had an argument on a bit of a battle on my hands, but I took the fight to them that it needed to be an hour to let the language breathe. And I think the language has suffered from that over the years. It's too cut up into little packages, and that's actually not a natural representation of Aotearoa.
Both of you just said those series were the pinnacle of your career so far. What is it about it that makes it the pinnacle for you?
One of them was, for me, inspiring people to go and talk to their kaumātua. One story I want to share is we dropped someone off at the airport, one of the kazis, and I saw this big, I knew he was Islander, and he just gave me this eye. And he must have been about 100 metres away. And we were up where all the check-in counters are at the international. I was going, and he spotted me. And then he just made this beeline for me. And I was like, because I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
He came up to me, put his hand out, and we shook hands. And he said talofa to me. So, someone. And he said to me he'd watched both shows. He'd watched Tani Wharau, Ko Whaorau, but he'd been watching Tani Wharau because that was the recent one.
Yeah.
It had inspired him to go back to Samoa and spend time. And he was actually there catching his flight to Samoa to spend some time with his kuia and koroua.
Mean.
Yeah.
For me, that language barrier between that generation and our generation, it was more than a breakdown in language. It was a breakdown in relationships. And one of the things that I was most moved by through that Ko Whaorau series was the amount of families I encountered where there were 40-year-old, 50-year-old children of some of these kaumātua that I was interviewing who were in tears after the interview and would come up and say, our father has never shared that with us.
Yeah.
And it was a language barrier. That was the reason, I suspect. But with that language barrier comes, I believe, some relationship barriers as well. So it was an opportunity to demonstrate how those things can be bridged. And then the other thing, a selfish reason, to be honest there, Parone, was I got pretty hoha, bro, going around the country in my mahi. And wherever I went, I would hear people speaking disparagingly about te mito o taku iwi.
Oh.
Maybe I was extra sensitive to it, or maybe. But, and I would hear the academics, talk about how incorrectly some of those sayings that I knew were incorrect. And what I felt strongly about with Ko Whaurau was, here I had gathered 100 kaumātua together. They all have different opinions, of course, but ko tahi anō, haka takoto, haka lalani I te reo Māori. Puta noa, I a rātou kotoa. It's the same language my nan spoke. And so it felt to me that by bringing together 100 people from that generation, it's obvious they're all speaking the same language. Really, nobody can argue, even though we have a very different language.
Kia ora.
And I've come to realise that more and more at some of the mahi I've done in recent months, just how different our language is. It really, for me, meant that there's no debate. You can single out people individually and say, oh, e mara he kena tēnā kōrero, ala he tēnā I te kōrero. But when you have 100 people,
Kia ora.
Ko tahi anō reo o rātou kotoa, e kore ke tae tākahi.
Tēnā koe. And while we're on Te Reo o Ngāpuhi, good segue.
Yes.
And if you haven't realised it, te iwi, kei te kōrero tātai mō Ngāpuhi I te rānei. No reira, pai tērā huarahi e tai, e tahuri ai tātou ki te kōrero mō tērā iwi o tātou, e noho nā koe nā o kō iwi, no reira, ka mihi rā. And we need a kiwaha.
Don't look at me.
No.
What does kiwaha mean, sis? You explain it to me.
It's sort of like a colloquial saying. Is that how you the term for it?
I like the colloquial saying.
Is that a modern word or is it one of those words we've resurrected?
I have no idea. To be honest, I'm really bad at all the grammar stuff, but all I know is to me, it's a fun way of saying something.
That's a cool way of saying. That's a cool definition. I'm going to put that I'm going to write that to a fun way of saying something.
You could say it the normal way, or you could say it as a kiwaha and it sounds funner.
Just while we're on that too, e pai tēnei pātai, because taku moio he kupu hou te kiwaha. And I done some research for my iwi a while ago, way back when I was out of uni. And it was an oral research project me ngā kaumātua. Āhuari te ki tani wharau Ko Whaurau, engari, it was very contrived. So if you've watched the series or Ko Whaurau tani, we have some things that but we just sort of like go with the wairua. With this oral research project, I had a set amount of pātai heta, So anyway, I'd go in to visit the kaumātua, kanoho mātou ka kōrero, and then I'd go, okay, Nan, how tō kiwaha mō tēnei?
Yeah.
And they'd look at me and go, how te kiwaha? What are you talking about?
Yeah, how did you explain it to them?
Yeah, well, no, I didn't. And I just learned, and that's why I learned you just got to let the conversation go. And then later you go back and then just take from it.
Yeah, kind of
You don't go out with all these questions and say, how tō kupu mō tēnei? And
I'm just taking the opportunity to have fun with Puraoni, I think. My kids come back from school, kōrero kiwaha Monday. Me te that's a bit of a redundant phrase. Kiwaha, ki, bit of speech that comes from your waha, as opposed to what? Ki tero?
Sama ki tero?
Ki taringa? When I was younger and amongst my kaumātua, hono e kōrero. I'm just playing with you, bro, because I don't get the opportunity to...
Pai noio.
Te kōrero tahi ki te momo I a tāua nei, I nei rā. Yeah, kiwaha. That's an interesting one, kiwaha. Hono e kōrero. Any particular theme?
Kei ako e te sikanga?
There's so many of them. That's another aspect of the language, Puraoni. I don't know where your thoughts land on this. But do you remember that there was about a decade there where the language became very academic focused? And at the time I was rolling with my nan and my uncles out in the bush, and so it was so far removed from the language I was hearing that it really stood out to me. That we went through a period of 10 years where it was all about academic language. But the problem was when you got home to talk with your kids, you're bringing all these highfalutin words home because you don't have any other words, and you start using them in your everyday conversations. And it just sounded inappropriate a lot of the time. And now I feel like, and this is maybe a symptom of where the language is at and some of the challenges it faces. Tōna nei mauita, is we've swung back and overcompensated the other way. Everything's kiwaha.
Kia ora.
So you hear speakers today, they'll string together 50 kiwaha. Starts to sound like a tourist in Venice with a phrase book. I reckon the best way to find a balance and to achieve a more natural way, mo te kōrero I te reo Māori, is somewhere in the middle. Anyway, a kiwaha. It's one that I'm trying to resurrect at home here is taiake.
Taiake.
Taiake te roro ngā huruhuru o te kōtero ni. This girl's got long hair. I know huruhuru is another contentious word that other people disagree with, but huruhuru is used here for hair. Huruhuru mātanga ni. Taiake te roro ngā huruhuru o te kōtero ni. Taiake. I'm assuming you've heard that before. Was that part of your language, your old people's language, Eha?
Karae rongo I te taiake. Yeah.
So ko ngā kupu e rua nei ko te taia me te ke. Hare te taiake. Taiake.
Engari a whakahua nei taike.
Taiake te whakamiharo o tā kaurua kaupapa.
Tēnā.
Taiake. I've been doing a kaupapa for about a year now. I've been doing 5 videos a week. Some of them I put on Facebook.
Māori Minute.
Māori Minute.
Māori Minute. Have a look at the iwi. Is it maoriminute.com or .co.nz? Or
maoriminute.com.
There you go.
Yeah, I did it as a challenge, and I'm going to stop doing these videos in a month because it would have been a year. And there's about 250 videos up now. And one of the things I noticed through that is, I was mentioning it before, is I started off thinking, there'll be a few different words here that I can share. Au e homa. O pautata te tau. Kore noi pauno ngā kupu poka kene. Ko ngā kupu kātahi ko te haka takoto I ngā kōrero. I roto I taku iwi o konei kārua, ne? Ka nui te poka ke. Ko tahi no pūtaka e tanga mai o tātou reo kato. Mari kei a mātono to mātou reo. Motu haka ne. And it really drove it home for me. So taiake, I'm trying to revive some of these.
Can you give a short whakamārama or definition of taiake?
Taiake te pai o enei kōrero. This is a great conversation. Maupe ho mai te...
Taiake tērā tangata? Pai tēnā?
Taiake te aha o tērā tangata.
Yeah. Taiake te pukumahi o a tērā tangata?
Nā poti.
That person's really hard worker.
Yeah.
Everyone from home now uses haramai, te tahi ahua, which is wonderful because that was close to being lost probably. So now's a good time to add to that with taiake.
Yeah. Well, I must admit, and I've said on this show, I runga I Taringa nei, taku reo he reo takitingi. E pai ki au, nā wā ka haereo I roto I a koutou, ka whakamahi au I nā kupu. Ko te kōrero e tahi aku kaumate kei poi, nei o audience. Nā wā e haere nau I roto e tai iwi moe au, he hana kupu kare paingi ana e rā iwi, ka waiho e rā kupu. You know, pērā no, I know when I go down I roto o Ngāti Porou, they like heckling. Yeah, I know, and I know how to roll with that. Yeah. So I'll add the taiake to my pocket. Ngā rere ngā I roto I a Ngāpuhi. Taiake.
Wa he au ki taku iwi. Wa he au ki taku iwi. My old people used to say too, mo te haere ki roto Ngāti Porou e hoa. Hunanga tō mit kuhunga. We say huna, but our word here for hide is kuhu.
Kuhu, aye.
It's a kuhunga tō mita.
Oh, yeah?
Ai, ngā mahi hoki a ngā tūpuna.
Ai.
Wai no, e kōrero no mua no atu.
Hei, and e harai te mea, me kuhu e rā whakaaro I te mea, pēnā anō I au e tamariki ana, he nui te kōrero o tia o Ngāpuhi, I roto I tō mātai hapu. And, yes, tētai aku uncles, I moe tētai, he nui, I nāia nei, ko moe Ngāpuhi. And I was, she was from Ngāpuhi. You know, it was like, hey, what's the matter with Ngāpuhi? Yeah. Of course, me mō tātou ki ngā hitori. Well, no, he hitori te hitori. Kare iwi, kare I patu I tētahi atu. I roto I ngā kōrero. Yeah.
My kids have got so many different breeds and blood running through them. I don't think that way anymore. Yeah. And even a komo te reo nei. Ora kauau e pēhia nei aku tamariki, kia mau marika I a lātou te reo kei au nei. Ka hore, ko te reo ono tō rātou no haka papalanga. Koe e tēnā, e kore e taia te pehe. Nā te mei nā pake ke rawa, te mau I ngā tamariki runga I ena hakaro a mero atu ko taike ki te tūkino tawa I te wairua. I used to have a bit of a hang-up about it with my kids were young, this is our reo, this is our reo. They go to school, hoki mai i te kura, ai, huri koaro katoana. And then you come to realise that, when they're among their peers and their friends, if you put that on them, then they can't grow into the people they need to be for the future.
Tēnā koe.
And so I don't put that on them. And even though I do this kaupapa Māori in a minute and the other Ngāpuhi reo related stuff I do, I'm realistic e hoa. I'm just trying to offer what's here.
Yeah.
And I'm realistic enough to know that it's going to be it's already a different language and it's going to continue to change and develop.
I like organically where we've gone with this because e te kōrero mō Ngāpuhi, but I think e pai kia kōrero mō Te Reo o Ngāpuhi because ke kone te tangata.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think to talk about Ngāpuhi in 40 minutes, and we've probably already gone through 20.
Yeah.
At least.
I think so.
Nera.
Ai.
Pehe o whakaro. Are you doing some questions or something there?
No, I'm just writing down little notes here.
Yeah, she's writing down me too.
Would this make sense? Taia ake te roa o tēnei kōrero?
Tai ake te roa o tēnei kōrero. Here, at least, we use roa for one thing and roroa for more than one thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Tēnā koe ho, where is here?
Yeah.
Kōrero mai koe mō tēnā whaitua o tātou.
Ko kai kohe rā tēnei.
Oh.
Kei kai kohe nei taku kāinga. Not right in town, I'm out of town.
Yeah.
And our papa kāinga is just out of town here.
Kia ora.
So I'm right in the heart. They call this, sometimes you hear it referred to as te pokapū or te pokapūtanga o Ngāpuhi, the centre. You often hear it referred to as te pū o te wheke.
Kia ora.
Te pū o te wheke, that's cool.
Te pū o te wheke, ko ngā kāwei o te wheke, e toro pērā tuana. Ko i tēne ko te pū e tako tuakini.
Kia ora. I didn't know that.
It's a lovely metaphor, eh? Yeah.
I have to call him for a visit when we take our boss up there because we're due to go up there in a few weeks.
Yes, please. Nobody visits me. My kids tell me I'm too serious. I don't mean to be.
I'll come visit you, bro.
So what are you doing kaikohe to keep yourself busy?
I'm a full-time film and television producer. Busy, very busy with that. I'm insanely busy because on top of that, I'm also the chair of our kura kaupapa here.
Kia ora.
O taku nama tēnei ki te kura nei, I nā hoki, e ono aku tamariki he rana ki taua kura.
Kia ora.
Me utau I taku nama. So I'm the chair of the kura here. I also am currently chairing our marae o kura here.
Oh, cool.
And then in my spare time, I'm a gentleman farmer.
Meo parera.
Which means I stand out in the middle of grass now and again and take a deep breath.
Oh.
Kei te kore nei ne mo te iwitanga.
Kia ora.
Kia koe, what does it mean to be haunga te whakapapa? Engari, what does it mean to you to be Ngāpuhi?
Yeah, there's the obvious answer to that, I think, which is a connection, historical connection. But actually, I think it's more personal for me, the people who care about you and invest in you through your life, for me, those people, for them, being Ngāpuhi was important to them. And just like the reo, if I got beaten up at school, which I did occasionally, I've got their names written down in a notebook. And, you go home after school and ia lātou e awhi ana I aho, I roto I ena mamaitanga. E ho mai ana tauaroha I roto I te reo, Māori. So they interact with you and nurture you within that context. And so it becomes important to you because it's part of honouring the gifts you got from them.
Kia ora.
Yeah. I think that's what my Ngāpuhi means for me. But I don't like being locked in a box, around Māori things.
Yeah.
I think people are surprised sometimes, given the nature of some of my work over the years, that I'm actually a very progressive person in terms of my thinking. And, and I got that from those old people too. So I blamed them, although people will say, hey, you're breaking tikanga. But I don't know about that. Like my nan, for instance, ki ana I tēnā i ngā taonga nei te karakia, i te tau parapara, ngā kōrero hītori, ngā hakaheke, tātai hakaheke. But whenever it came time to bless an event or something, you'd never hear Nan use any of their kōrero. Ka titiro ia ki te ahu o te hui e tūnei. Ko ngā hakaro e ahu ake ana i roto i tōna ngāwhau i taua wāpū anō. Ko ia no wena ko ngā kupu e patere mai ana i tana māngai. And I was taught or influenced by them that we've got all our history, but you also can be your own person.
Yeah.
I get a little bit of a sense of that with you when I hear you kōrero too, Praone. Is that true, or are you more traditional, tied to traditional thinking? There's only one way to do it, and it's the way that our tupuna did it.
Nah, I'm flexible fella.
You're pretty out the box sometimes, eh?
Am I?
I mean, not in a bad way or anything, but you can see that you definitely try and adhere to the kawa o tikanga as much as you can. We've also put in your own flavour on it.
Kia ora.
Just from what I've observed.
And that's the challenge we've got with our young people. You know, like I was talking about this ship program earlier, Ahi Kāroa. You know, we're actually, it was a very rare opportunity we got to make a show like that, because Māoridom is often very conservative, particularly in positions of power in our organisations. There's quite a conservative strain that runs through them. I know I'm generalising, but anyway. And so to get a show that fully captures that younger world with the kanga and ngā mahi oni me wena makatoa, you know, is very rare. And it was a small window of opportunity there, I think, and it just speaks to the tension all the time in Māoridom. And we're going through it now with our tamariki. Now, this is close to my heart because I'm at the kura, so I'm seeing it firsthand. I'm at the coalface. On the one hand, we've got all our traditional tikanga. We know that we have to provide something new for our tamariki, but we don't want to go that far down the track. And I'm not sure we're drawing the line in the right place sometimes. You know, we're too beholden to some of our past tikanga. You know, take the reo, for instance. I actually think all of our angst, all of our anxiety around the reo, with artificial intelligence, in 30 years' time, you'll be wearing a watch, rapa mana tō wati i tō ringa. And if you want to speak Ngāpuhi, hono tau e pehi te wati nei, nā. Kōrero Ngāpuhi mana tō māngai. Is it too off on a tangent? Anyway.
No, I think when I te pōpō o te reo, we, you know, even just 10 years ago, wouldn't imagine that we'd be sitting like this.
Definitely not.
So we're having a Skype interview e te iwi. Kei te noho a kiu ki tana kāinga ki roto kai koe. And kei konei māua ko Erica I te whare I Tawamuti. So we got our interview, and then you're listening wherever you may be in Aotearoa in the world. And we wouldn't have never imagined seeing this 10 years ago. It really isn't that long ago. Nera?
Nah, definitely not.
Ko au kei te pū o te wheke, ko kaurua kei te pito o te tahi o ngā kāwai, ne?
Hey, so while we're on the kāwai, ngā kāwai o te wheke, kawe rānei, the tentacles o te wheke e te iwi. So where's the tentacles go? Are they just in Ngāpuhi o te pū o te wheke?
Ai. Yeah, hali te mea hoho nuati tēnā te aka marama, te aka Māori tanga o tēnei kōrero, ne?
Yeah.
Even though we attended a hui together recently, Praone, and we were talking about technology and the role it plays in the revival of the language, one of the responses was, ko te raruraru ki ena mātauranga, e kore te wairua Māori, e riro I te tangata, mā roto mai I te rorohiko. What do you guys think about that?
What I've noticed now is we're going back to the old ways, whether it be te reo, whether it be farming, whether it be mahi mara, all of those things. And we're revisiting old knowledge in a new context. But now it's so old or hasn't been practiced for so long that it's new again. Yeah,
you have to kind of reinvent it.
Yeah, or it's new. So it's like, whoa, this is... But really, it's old.
Yeah.
You know, but because it's been left ko waiho ki te tāki reira puehu mai mo te tei wā roa. It's new again.
Yeah.
You know, ki tēnei whakatupuranga.
didn't you go to a pōwhiri or something where somebody Skyped in and done their whai kōrero?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that like?
Was weird, but yeah, so we took, I haere mata ki te tai pōwhiri ki rato o Pōniki, and ka puta mai te tai, and they says, oh, our kaumātua missed this flight. This was Haere Williams. Missed this flight from Auckland, and they says, kareka o mātou kaumātua, but he's going to thingin on a conference
Big
call,
screen.
like this, sort of like this, but on a big screen. And I told myself, I went, hei hao maku e rā mahi nera. Kare kōrero ki ai, kare kōrero ki te bloody video.
Yeah.
Ko e pai ana tēnei. Engari, tikanga nei, it was a formal setting. So I told myself that. When we went into the room, tama, it was as big as this wall. It was huge. It was like something of Star Trek. And you could not acknowledge him.
Yeah.
Anyway, so ka huri ki ai, in for his mahi, I roto I tērā ao, I roto I te ao Te Reo irirangi. Loka mapi te iwi Haere Williams. Anyway, i muri, whai kōrero ai, toko rua māua I whai kōrero, and he responded from his home in Auckland. But man, e pai tana whai kōrero. He gave a really beautiful kōrero, both in Māori and English.
So, although he wasn't there, you were still able to feel the wairua?
Yeah, we did. I rongo mātou I te wairua.
So you were kind of converted then?
I think it was because of the person too that was delivering the kōrero. But he said some really, inspiring things and things that provoked us to think, as well as our hosts, because I challenged them in my whai kōrero to take up te reo.
Yeah.
Basically, and he sort of translated that for them. But anyway, he gave a really, really good speech.
Cool. Have you had any instances like that yourself, Q?
No, but I have had a few people talk to me about mate involving technology these days.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have discussed it in the 66 shows you've done without me so far. Yeah, and I agree with Praone, it feels weird. I laugh, I kata ai au nā te mea. Maybe that's the measurement e hoa. Pina kore take ngā kōrero, a te kai kōrero, ko nā tau e mea, ora kau ke take o tēnei kurahi. Whiti kōrero. Tēnā I tēnā mena e kōrero pai take, ko mea tau pai nui ona.
Aye. What are the attitudes I roto I a Ngāpuhi to add to technology? Nei, pēhea nā whakaro te whakatupuranga kaumātua nei, I roto I tōrahi?
I think it's a bit untested at the moment, to give you an honest answer, bro. Because we are quite isolated from the rest of the country, and a lot of our marae are still very old and in dire need of restoration. Often we don't have technology. We have bad reception in many areas, so it hasn't had the same impact here that it's had in other areas.
True.
Yeah, well, maybe by the sounds of things. But certainly for the tamariki, I just think it's not even a thing for them now.
Yeah.
And you're talking about the remoteness of some of these places. Maybe, explain to our listeners where, like, the borders of Ngāpuhi are, or Te Rohe o Ngāpuhi.
That's an interesting question, because I think a lot of people think, like some other iwi around the country, it's in a relatively contained area.
Yes.
Actually, the geographic area that Ngāpuhi, constitutes Ngāpuhi, is a big area. And, like when I was doing Kōwhaorau, to get from one side to the other, it could be an hour and a half drive. So that's how big we are geographically. It's a very spread out area. And then to me, that makes it even more extraordinary and fascinating in some ways that there's such a unity of language across this, very large area. Now, there are small differences as you get into different pockets around Te Tai Tokelau. But in general, kapi noa I te takiwā nei, ko taua reo ko tahe anō I kōrero rau. So it's a very spread out area, and that has its challenges as well. I mean, we see that now with my iwi going through the claims process, which is a lot of focus on the hapu.
Kia ora.
And I think maybe that's an element, that's a factor as well, is maybe another iwi where everyone is so much physically closer together. Maybe there's a bit more cohesion at that level. But here, hapu are quite distinctive, and they have large areas. They occupy large areas. Listen to me. I talk like a bloody historian and academic. I don't have one tohu to my name.
Does that reflect the definition of, tērā kōrero, about the uniqueness, I guess, of those pockets you're talking about? Does that reflect the definition of the Ngāpuhi saying Ngāpuhi kōwhaurau.
Tūturu marika. Ai, ko ea no tēnā.
Can you just give me an explanation on that?
Is it the same as your kōrero ea? He piko, he taniwha?
I'm not sure. I've heard a few kōrero about the Ngāpuhi one, and that's how. And I'll tell you one thing. Ngāpuhi has the iwi that's taught me to be flexible.
Ah.
Oh, hena.
Yeah, because he tika tau, I liked what you were saying before about the box. Don't put Ngāpuhi in the box. That's one thing we do not put in the box and think that, you know, oh, you're going to go to this marae and koina te kawa o Ngāpuhi, koina nāhuatonga. No, it's not like that at all. You can go with the whole and it's different again.
Yeah.
Engari, ko te reo, exactly what you're saying, kei te rongo tonu I te reo. Yeah, one explanation to me about kōwhare was something about kumara pits, and then I've had abodes and other things. Yeah.
So metaphorically, I think it's just talking about, you know, every area has its own tangatiratanga.
Oh, okay.
And you often hear, I heard that amongst my old people expressed in a positive way and a negative way. That's what I love about our people, is, you know, ka kō wari nge koe ngā kōrero kia ritei ki tau e pai ne.
Yeah.
So I've heard it, you know, it's explained in both positive way and a negative way. And you'd often hear when our iwi in the past were having heated debate based on this principle of kōwhaurau, so many different chiefs. You'd hear people say, ko tai ki te wā, kia haka purupuru ngā kōhau.
Kia ora.
And, you know, that's a nice kōrero for our tamariki to learn and take away, te haka purupuru, to fill in holes.
Kia ora. I wrote a pātere a couple of years ago, Mātaku Kapahaka, and I wrote it about ngā rangatira o te ao Māori o Naianei. And everybody in the pātere at the time were living. So I wrote it in 2014.
Yeah.
And the 3 years since, it's probably been about maybe 8 now that are in the pātere that were alive then that aren't now.
Oh.
And I modelled it on some of the templates of previous pātere of the great poets, songstresses of te ao Māori who would do that in the pātere. And usually they were a reply or a rebuttal to some insult or whatever.
Yeah.
But this one was about the support around Kingi Tuheitia. Te moko puna te rongo pātū taonga, e hoa. And there was one part in there I referred to Erima. And Erima was his tana paihau I nā wā I haere atu a Tuheitia ki roto o te taitokerau, ko Erima I reira. And I used a line in there and I said, puru ana kōwhaurau, kei ta poko te haere a te uri o rāhiri, I ngā whakatara te ārero tangatanga e parare maira. And that line was, it's talking about Erima to fill the holes, not in a negative sense, but filling them in that sense was Erima. He was a master of whakapapa. Yeah. And connections, and he would do that when he took the king, or when he was with King Ituheitia, he would provide those connections, and sort of everybody would be tau. And I wrote that around the time when David Rankin was saying some things and stuff, and that line came in. So, pai ki au, e hoa tērā kōrero nā o kaumātua mo te purupuru I ngā kōwhau.
Yeah, pia pai hoki kia. I have to say though, e hoa, you know, and I'll be honest about it. I was talking before about some people have a misconception that I'm very traditional in my thinking. There's an element of that, but I'm also very, I think, quite progressive. And also when it comes to te taha Māori, I've heard so much history and all of those mātauranga. That was never my passion. And, you know, I would even, if you were, I know this is about Ngāpuhi, and the first thing I should have said to you was, if you want kōrero about Ngāpuhi, there are other people in our iwi that not only are more versed in that stuff, but are more passionate about it. And I've always been the type of person, I've never felt like I have to have all those strings to my bow. I found something that I'm passionate about and resonated with me, which was Te Reo. Yeah. And with that comes a certain amount of knowledge, you know, traditional knowledge and all that. But I've never actively sought out history or whakapapa. I have other people in my whānau who carry those taonga. And they are passionate about it. Nā koe kewera ko ngā tāngata titika mā rātu e nā mātauranga e pupuri, mō mātu. So, yeah, I know there's a tendency sometimes because of people like yourself, Praone, I'll blame you, to look at high-profile people and think that they know everything about, you know, all things related to the iwi and that. And probably that's a good aspiration to have. But at my age now, approaching 50...
No.
E
No,
wā.
you still look like you did on Shortland
I
Street.
know. A waho, ka nui te tamariki o te hanga, a roto, e homa, ko pirauke.
Well, like, e tiki aki anau I te kōrero mo te ngā kōwhao rau. Koenei tētahi o ngā kōwhao o Ngāpuhi. I roto I a tātou kōrero rero. I thought that you might think that, and you've confirmed that we're going to get this person from Ngāpuhi, and they're going to have all the kōrero o Ngāpuhi. Engari, e hara tērā I taku whakaaro I te wā I tohu ai ko tō ingoa. I maharake au ka puta etahi kōrero rereke. That's what our listeners have said. They like the difference of opinion and viewpoint and tirohanga that we've had on the show.
I love this kaupapa, Purani, because we're not constrained by, I don't know, a sense of, what's it called, propriety, being at our marae or amongst our kaumātua or whatever. Even though I talk this stuff in front of my kaumātua, but you talk maybe slightly couch
A more
it slightly
mild
different.
version.
Yeah. This has been a beautiful kōrero for me. I really enjoy it. And, you know, when you get to the artificial intelligence kaupapa, I'd like to be included on that list.
Well, tēnā koe, we'd like to bring you back because there is going to be a segment.
Really?
Yeah, it's one of the kaupapa that I've written down.
Yeah.
I do some planning, you know, just a little bit. You know, people, they send messages and they go, oh, we love the show. It sounds like you're just talking. And I'm like, yeah, we are just talking.
Yeah.
Koina te mea ngaroa nā ko te wairua Māori o te rere o te kōrero.
Yeah.
E roto I tēnei tū āhuatanga, tēnei nohoanga tahitanga. E hoa, any closing kōrero?
No, hono e mihi kau atu ki a koe, e kaurua tahi. Me ngā ringa me ngā waiwai, e awhi nei a kaurua I roto I tēnei kaupapa. Ka nui te miharo e hoa. Hoi nānu.
Oh, I've got one. Do you have a whakatauki or a motto that you live by? And if you do, why? It can be anything.
Yeah, well, I think it probably has origins in Te Reo Pākehā, but te tai kōrero nui a taku karani. Ka pēnei, hui ka tū wehe ka hinga.
Kia ora.
Nā, e hala I te kōrero hohonu, reo ike raini. E rangi, ko te ngoto ki roto I tōku ngākau. E mahara kia me wera mea kotoa. Kia nei he kōrero tino nui tēnei roto I tōku nei whatu manua. Ko ki te hoki au I te pono o tērā kōrero āna I roti aku mahi, I te taho o taku hapu, ngā mahi marae, I roti I te kura. Tia e tahi taima pēne ana ngā hakaro ōku ake, ko te nuinga e takoto pērā ke ana, kei te nuinga ke te ora o te kaupapa. Ka hoki anō ki taua kōrero nei, hui ka tū wehe ka hinga. Me mahi hui tātou, ka riri te ai o tātou tūmanako.
Tēnā koe.
So for some of our audience who are probably like me and might have got a little bit lost in that, are you able to translate it?
United we stand, divided we fall.
Hui ka tū wehe ka hinga.
Nice.
Tāke te tahua o tēnā kōrero e mara. Nō reira, nei maua ko te uri o te whanāpa nui, e mihi nei ki a koe. Te tera peke o te hoiho o te reo. E roto I nā kaupapa hou o te wānei, e huri nei tēnei au tū neke. Hei oranga tonutanga mō a tāwa tamariki mōpuna kei te haereaki. Nō reira ka mihi rā ki a koe, tēnā koe.
Ko raro tēnei o te kāho, ko mutu te raku hia e kaura, e haka hoki kaua nei ngā mihi, no hora mai.
Tēnā koe.
Me whakarongo pi kari.
Oe te iwi, that was Q.
Alright.
What do you think of that, Tuahine?
Oh, I thought it was interesting, especially his mita. I don't know if this is normal, but I have heard it when I have listened to other Ngāpuhi speakers. But I know about the dropping the W, so like hare nui instead of whare nui and that. But it almost sounds like to me that instead of using r for r, it sounds more like an L. Do you know what I mean?
It's how the words, and the other thing too is how the words sort of string together.
Yeah, because he did it quite fast. I couldn't quite keep up and distinguish which word ended where. I was getting a bit lost.
Yeah, and even the pitch, or the tone, I guess, of Tana Reo is very Ngāpuhi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say pai toke rau. Yeah, that they sort of go up and then down.
Yeah.
So they talk like this and then they go up and then they go down and sort of goes like that and then da-da-da-da. Yeah, it's sort of like, Hea
Actually,
tāhua.
now that you say that, it did stand out quite a lot when he would be speaking in Te Reo Pākehā. You know, it's very, not monotone, but, you know, at a stable sort of pitch. And then, now that you've said it, when he did digress into Te Reo Māori, it would be up and down and no W's and L's and, cool.
It was cool as. I thought it presented too, because, you know, we talked about it a couple of times, like not being in the box sort of a thing. And I think with this segment, Iwi o Te Wiki, we probably have put it in a box ourselves by saying, or thinking, these are the things we've got to talk about or cover when we do Iwi o Te Wiki. You know, he said, I roto I tana kōrero, he goes, well, I'm not the person. It's at the end. I'm not going to give you all the tribal stuff, but I think it presented another viewpoint of and from Ngāpuhi. Yeah. As opposed to the one that, you know, where we could say, I don't know, the cliche, right, give us your pepeha, give us...
Yeah. So that was kind of a good, fresh perspective on that and a good insight. And, you know, it's kind of like some people are made for that historian role and others aren't. And he did say that his passion is in Te Reo Māori and that there are other people who are better suited or, you know, who are good at that.
Humble fella too, for the things he's done.
Yeah, hard he's done heaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember way back in the days he was on radio,
Yeah.
It's cool to kōrero.
And then My Time.
Yeah. And Shortland Street.
Yeah, Shortland Street.
Yeah. And
he was like the real Māori on Shortland Street. Like, you know what I mean, eh?
But it's a shame that he didn't get to put more of that real Māoriness into the show in his time. Yeah.
I think he tried to. I think that might have been a side part of his acting role, is that he was the Te Reo advisor or something.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool.
So he's done heaps.
Yeah. And I didn't realise until he had said it, well, I'm sure I have heard it before, that he produced Mount Zion too.
Yeah.
And Maui's Hook, which I still haven't seen, but I've heard it's pretty handy, that one, so I do want to watch that one.
Meritahi. It's been doing the rounds at some of the Wānanga campuses.
Yeah, I know. I was talking to Waimahi about it. How come I never heard of it? Well, I heard that was happening. That's cool.
And we've got to put a plug in for his...
the puzzles, the Te Reo puzzles on his Māori Minute Facebook page.
Yes, Māori Minute Facebook page, e te iwi, and MāoriMinute.com. I think you subscribe to it per month or week, and he does little lessons on there for Te Reo.
Daily ones, eh?
Yeah.
And the cool thing about it is it's just of his daily life at home. Like most of them have his kids in it. They're just doing normal things. What did I watch one the other day? And he was explaining the word wahi. So not as in place, but a little bit of something. And he had his daughter in there and a block of cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
O mai tētahi wāhi o te tihi.
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never heard that word before being used in that context. I just thought it meant place.
Yeah.
So that was interesting for me to learn another meaning of the word wahi.
Kia ora, tēnā koe, and that goes on with our episode we done on the double or triple or many meanings of kupu Māori.
Yeah.
Nera.
Yeah.
Koina te kōrero mo te iwi o te wiki e te iwi, and because it is Ngāpuhi kōwhaurau, and when we were talking, I was thinking of some other speakers we could get into to speak about and give their perspective on Ngāpuhi.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that explanation of, would you call that a pepeha? Yeah, Ngāpuhi kōwhaurau. That was really interesting for me to hear, and when you did, the both of you were talking about it, then it kind of clicked in my head like, oh, Waikato taniwhānau, sort of the same but different.
Yeah, cool. Nō reira, I runga i tērā e te iwi, we're going to go to te waiata o te wiki. And the waiata o te wiki was composed by the late Piripi Cope. Moi mai Piripi, I got to meet Piripi Cope way back in the 90s, attending my first matatini hui back then.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I think he was there as a rep for Ngāpuhi, and I think he used to judge back in those times.
Yeah.
And back in the 90s, it was called Adam Pass, Aotearoa Māori Performing Arts
that's
Society.
right,
Yeah. So this song's by him, and this is one of the Ngāpuhi anthems. Now, maranga mai e te iwi. Whakarongo mai.
Whakarongo mai ki te reo e tangi nei, e ringi hia mai ana, mai aku ka mo, ngā roi mātai. Whiti mai te rā, ngaro ana te mamai, ngaro noa te pōuri, kaua e mauriri, anei anō he rā. Maranga mai e te iwi, o ngā hapu Ngāpuhi, ki a mau, ki a u, ki a pu, puri ai, ki ngā akoranga nui. Takahia te ao, ka kitea te iwi, e tu tangata mai tātou, ngā uri o rātou, kua mene ki te pō. Tēnei te mihi ki ngā kai a whina e, ki ngā whai a ngā matua, anei rā ko ngā hua, e puawe ana mai. Maranga mai e te iwi, o ngā hapu Ngāpuhi, ki a mau, ki a u, ki a pu, puri ai, ki ngā akoranga nui. Maranga mai e te iwi, o ngā hapu Ngāpuhi, ki a mau, ki a u, ki a pu, puri ai, ki ngā akoranga nui. Maranga mai, maranga mai, maranga mai, maranga
Nō rere te iwi, that was Te Waiata o te Wiki.
Mean.
Yeah, any closing comments e te tuahine? Before you do, I just want to say you've done an awesome job today. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Yes, I have. It's always, actually, the best thing about my work here at Te Wānanga o Te Roa is that even though I'm supposed to be here to take photos, the best thing about working here is the variety of stuff we get to do. And here is another prime example of things that you can be involved in, and one thing I really appreciate about working here at Te Wānanga o Te Roa. Thank you for having me.
Tēnā rā wāti koe, e mihi ana ki a koe, I rangatira te hotaka nei a koe tō noho mai. Nō ka mihi ki a koe.
Oh, Jesus. You're talking it up way too much.
And just another plug for Erica. You got a website too, eh?
Oh, yep, sure do. It's www.ericasinclairphotography.com. I know it's one big long word, but sorry.
Otherwise, find her on Facebook.
Yep, you can find me there.
Tēnā koe, and e te iwi ngā mihi nui kia koutou. And again, engage with our Pukamata Facebook page, Taringa, ki te karere coming, the messages and the questions. Got a big long list of them. We will get to them, but yeah, and thank you for listening in, and share our page and Taringa with the world. So, anei māua e mihi atu nei i te wānanga o Aotearoa, i te ipurau, tēnā koutou, hei kona maira.
Ki o, whakarongo ki te tangi a te korimako. Kōrero flowing at the hook of force. Kaupapa relevant, kaupapa out of bounds, kaupapa exigent, kaupapa paramount. Nā ko nā whakapiri mai ki te kaupapa tino whakahira whakarongo pi kari mai. Hare mai, o Taringa hare mai. We gotta gather up close everybody, gather up close everybody. Kani move that body, kani move that body.
Taringa. He mea tuku nā te wānanga o Aotearoa. To listen to more episodes, search for us on your podcast app and subscribe. Taringa, whakarongo mai.